Hey, all right, boom, just like that. Happy Monday. Mondays are good. You know why? I know I say it every week, but it's true. I get to talk to some great people and connect you with some great people. How you doing? Hope you're doing okay. I'm not going to get into a lot of news stuff today. You know, there's a lot of that going on. There is a lot of positive stuff going on out there. We're seeing communities really come together in this time of pandemic. Still kind of going sometimes like, wow, is this really happening? And when are we going to come out of it are the big questions. The only thing I'll say is, Premier Doug Ford did say the other day that starting today, Monday, May the 4th, Star Wars fans, may the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with us all right now. The Force be with us all. May the 4th. Star Wars fans get that, right? They've loosened some of the reins on some businesses, but we're not all the way there yet. But I think when they said that they were preparing the framework for it, and now the nice weather is here. Of course, we're wanting to get outside naturally, and it seems like it's okay to go outside, but still practice the social distancing, right? And where you go outside, fishing's allowed apparently, that kind of stuff. So. And the important part in all this, again, another thing that I when I repeat myself is because I think it's really important. Get the facts straight, folks. Here in Sarnia-Lambton, go to lambtonpublichealth.ca to find out things about the coronavirus, the cases that have happened, and what you can do, where the services that are available, right? You can also go to the City of Sarnia website. They've created a special page there with tons of information. There's phone numbers you can call to find out what is open, what is closed, what you can, what you cannot do. A whole list of information. Get it right from the municipalities and from the governments. That's where it's coming from, including the provincial government, right? You can go to ontario.ca, get a list of what is or what is not an essential service as far as a business goes. And there's phone numbers there. There's no reason to not get the accurate information, especially in this day and age, right? Who do you trust? That's all I'm going to say about that, right? There's hotlines as well. You can call those numbers. And there's a distress line. This is, again, unprecedented times. There's a word we hear every day. And to the already existing stress and mental health, we need someone to talk to. So once again, there's a 24-hour hotline. And speaking of, it is Mental Health Week starting today, Monday, May the 4th. And we've got some special guests who are going to join us to talk about Mental Health Week. Clair Child Youth Services putting on awareness all week long. And we're going to go out to the community right now and talk to two ladies who are going to fill us in on Mental Health Week and how you can participate and reach out as well. Let's go out into the community. All right, well, continuing on now with the show this week, it is Mental Health Week starting today. And, that's an important week, and it's important all year round. But it's nice to see some local organizations coming together to put out Mental Health Week and providing some activities and talking about the services that are available. And joining me here now is Emily Powell and Bella McGill. Thanks for being here, ladies.
Hey, David. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Well, you heard me say this is important. And, mental health is being more and more talked about. I would say in the last 5 years, really a lot of growth with that. But we've still got a long way to go. To keep the conversation going, I guess. So that's why this is important. Emily, let's start with you. Tell everybody who you are and your role here in the community.
For sure. So my name's Emily. I'm a social worker at Clair Child Youth Services. So I work in our walk-in therapy clinic and our crisis program. And then in addition to that role, I'm what's called our adult ally for our youth engagement services. So that includes youth engagement within the agency, so ensuring youth voice is heard within the agency, and then it includes our Youth Advisory Council, which Bella, I'll let you speak to a bit because she's our champ behind that.
Yeah, Bella, over to you. Thanks, Emily.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Bella McGill. I am the chair of our Youth Advisory Council, Spoken Hope. My main goal is just to kind of guide and plan our meetings. But our main goal for, I guess, our entire group is we're just giving a youth perspective on anything, any decisions made for Access Open Minds, which is an awesome opportunity for any youth.
Yeah. Now we're talking about mental health in general, I guess, here, but I think a lot of times we think of youth right away when we say mental health, but it's really more than that, though, isn't it? It's not just the youth that are having to deal with mental health, and especially right now during this COVID-19. Are you seeing any more response or less response? What's happening as far as how mental health is being affected right now?
Yeah, David, I think you make a really good point that mental health is such a general term and we all have mental health. And what better time to be talking about it than during a global pandemic when I'd argue that it's impacting the mental health of everybody in some way, but especially children and youth. Like their lives were kind of flipped upside down with all of this. And we've opened up our agency to teleservices, so over the phone and over video. So we've had some youth and children in the community accessing services through that. So,
right.
Yeah, I can definitely say from a youth perspective that there's a lot more of effect on mental health during these times as well.
Yeah. Now, can we get into some specifics or when we talk about mental health? I mean, there's a lot of subcategories, I guess you will, to that mental health. Is there dominant categories with mental health, or is it kind of spread out, or who wants to tackle that one?
Emily, I'll hand that one over to you.
Okay, that's okay. As I said, mental health is such a general term and we all have mental health. There's obviously different mental illnesses, and I think that's where the differentiation kind of lies. And you hear about anxiety, you hear about depression, you hear about different personality disorders. Yeah. So mental health kind of generalizes, just like physical health would, right? We all have our physical health and where we're at with that, and mental health is very similar.
Right. So this week is bringing the awareness, Mental Health Week. Is there a specific target out there for this, or is this for just basically like we go back to the general mental health? Mm-hmm.
General mental health. It's just spreading mental health awareness across the province, across the country, and in our community.
Yeah. So what kind of things are planned for this week? It's a whole week. So what can we expect? I guess today here on Monday, what are we seeing out there today?
Well, to be honest, our agency is busy getting all our virtual sort of counseling options available. So the youth have taken the lead on Mental Health Week this year. So I'll let Bella speak to that a little bit about what they have planned.
So Spoken Hope has decided that we're going to be taking on social media. We just started up our own social media account on Instagram, Spoken Hope @_AOM for Access Open Minds. And we're planning on just sharing our stories and sharing hope and to show what we've been through and how we've gotten through it. And then on top of that, we also are planning to challenge other agencies so we can spread more awareness across the community.
So what kind of challenges are we putting out there? Let's put them out here right now, see if we can get some attention for that.
Well, we're planning on putting them on our story on our Instagram and just challenging other agencies to speak their hope and just spread some awareness of mental health and how it's affected them and their agencies so that it can be destigmatized.
Right.
Yeah.
Stop the stigma, so to speak, right?
Board. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody in the community, I heard you say jump on board there. What's it, I said at the beginning of this, we're seeing more and more people are coming forward and speaking out, and some of that stigma has been stomped out, but while we still have a long way to go, are we seeing more youth stepping forward and sharing their stories as well, like openly, or is it still a struggle to get people to talk?
Well, I know as chair that every single time we have the opportunity to give our youth the chance to speak about their stories, they're more than excited to. And we have multiple volunteers every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And social, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think our opinion's a little biased because our Youth Advisory Council is full of absolute rock stars who would jump on any opportunity to be advocates for mental health. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's good. That's a positive thing. Mm-hmm. how is social media? I mean, you're talking about you've got an Instagram account and stuff. It seems like social media has kind of gotten a bad rap, if you will, over the past few years of everything negative and it's all this bad thing. And it's really not. It's I've always believed it's just how you use it. It seems like that's become more of a tool for mental health. And I mean, there's still cyberbullying and that stuff does happen. But you're seeing positive response from using the social media and all of this, though.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Bella, I'll let you speak to that a little bit. I know you're absolutely right, David. It gets a lot of kind of criticism because it's very clear in the ways that it impacts our mental health in a negative way. But you're absolutely right. You're able to reach so many people and spread so many positive messages. And we want to do that this week for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I just would piggyback on Emily's statement, just saying that there definitely has their negative effects on Instagram and any social media, but I have seen a great incline of people using it for positive reasonings as well.
Yeah, well, that's good. Now we talk about the positive, and we've seen a lot of things. Like I say, I go back over the past few years that I've seen the conversation of mental health. What are some of still of the biggest struggles with the whole mental health?
Mm-hmm. I'd say some of the common ones that we see at our agency are related to anxiety, symptoms of depression, emotion regulation. I'd say those are probably around, if not, I'm not into the whole stats thing, but I think that's probably close to our top 3 presenting concerns at our agency.
Yeah. Okay. And Bella, you sort of echoing that as well? Or you're seeing?
Yeah, I'd have to echo that as well.
Yeah. Okay. What can our community do? Like, obviously, we want people to talk. I guess I've always been the believer that every solution begins with a conversation, whether it's a phone call or a service or something. Right now, though, we're not able to come down and speak in person, right? Mm-hmm. I know I had somebody on here from Family Counseling Center a few weeks ago. They have a distress line, mm-hmm. And there's some services around town. But what else, what's St. Clair Child and Youth and what other services are available to anybody who needs support?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the biggest message we want to get out right now during these crazy times is that our doors are open, maybe not literally open. The building itself is closed, but business continues as usual. Our staff and our management at our agency have been great in sort of adapting to these times and have completely switched our services to over the phone or over video. So they can call our general line and speak to an intake worker and schedule a walk-in appointment, just as if they were coming into the agency. So things are still running. Services are still available at our agency and as well as with our community partners over at CMHA, Rebound, etc. have all continued to offer services virtually.
Yeah. So it's like a Skype call or someone calls you back or how does that work?
Yeah. So to schedule the appointment, they call our regular general line, our phone number. And then they have the option to schedule with a clinician over the phone, and they'll call back either that day or the next day, or they can schedule it over video. So that's through a program called doxy.me. So it's like a virtual office. It's pretty cool. It's encrypted and private and safe. And it's been really cool trialing that out and getting to know counseling through the virtual world.
Yeah, I noticed how you mentioned the privacy in that statement, mm-hmm. which is good. I think we have to reassure people that this is all mm-hmm. confidential, especially with technology now. You kind of always worry about, you used to worry about who was tapping your phone. Now you worry about who's tapping your computer or hacking mm-hmm. your computer or whatever they call mm-hmm. it, right? So mm-hmm. obviously those were considerations from St. Clair Child and Youth and other organizations when they decided, wow, we got to implement this stuff. That was a priority in all of that?
Oh, big time. It was thought through so long and hard to ensure that it would be like a safe space for people to still connect with us. Yeah.
What about volunteers? Like St. Clair Child and Youth, mm-hmm. has people that are there regularly. But volunteers, Bella, maybe, or either one of you could maybe speak to, do you seek out volunteers to support with this as well, especially right now?
Emily, you might be able to speak better to that. I know we are all volunteers on our Spoken Hope group, so we have sought out each other, and we're continuing to do our work on Zoom and everything like that. But
Okay.
I'm not sure if St. Clair and Child Youth has chosen any other volunteers.
Yeah, we don't really have volunteers involved in our clinical work at all. When our agency is open, we have a lot of really great volunteers that help host our walk-in and stuff like that. But right now, our volunteers that are still working hard are our youth on our Access Open Minds, Youth Advisory Council, Spoken Hope. They're all volunteers of our agency and have been meeting twice a month and working hard for Mental Health Week. So props to them.
Yeah, very good.
We appreciate them so much.
How long have each of you been involved in this scenario, like, St. Clair Child and Youth and Hope? Emily, let's start with you.
I've been at St. Clair Child Youth Services for almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
I've been involved with youth engagement. We started, I think it was 2 years ago. You might have heard of us in the community Voices for Youth.
Yep.
Voices of Youth, sorry. So we started launching that 2 years ago, and then it was just the Access Open Minds Youth Advisory Council was just launched this fall. To prep for anticipation. We were so excited for Access Open Minds to open in the fall. So that's
Right.
quite new, but.
Okay. And Bella, what about you?
So I actually just joined this fall under our Access Open Minds Council, but I've dealt with mental health pretty much my whole life and everything like that. So I just joined this fall, and I'm hoping to be with this group for a while.
Very good. Now, for both of you here, your perspective, you're kind of on the inside of things now, I guess, if you will. What have you learned from all of this, being involved as like full time, I guess, in your life? And do you have a little bit different perspective, or where are you sitting with that? Bella, you start with that.
For myself, I have a huge change in perspective. Before I was a part of being in the services and everything, I thought Sarnia didn't have very much to offer for the youth. But now that I'm a part of the services, I see all the things we have to offer, and it's life-changing for me and for everyone around me that I can share these opportunities and show everyone that we do have a lot to offer in Sarnia to help the youth.
Yeah, we got to get more awareness out there about it, because there really is.
I completely agree.
There's a whole bunch out there, right? Emily, what about you?
Yeah, I think youth engagement within our agency, ever since I started that, I've gained so much perspective. To think that we ever had services created without youth input is crazy. So I love being involved in that and hearing their feedback on how we should be delivering services, what services should be available. I think they're the real experts in what services and how things should be run. So it's brought me a lot of perspective.
Very good. Well, I think it's great that this is happening. I know it's not the first year for it, but it's nice to see it continue. Mental Health Week, Mental Health Daily, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really, but this is a good time to bring that awareness out, and lots of different things well planned out for this week. Anything else anybody wants to add before I let you get back to your busy day?
Bella?
I think I'm all right.
No, just join us in the fun next week for Mental Health Week and spread awareness and help share the message that our agency is open for anyone who needs support right now. We'd love for you to call in and connect with us virtually.
Very good. Emily, Bella, thank you so much. And thank you for your hard work during this time as well. You're very much appreciated, probably more than you know.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Mental Health Week, and you can find out more about that. Go to stclairchild.ca to get more information. You can also find out a little bit more about Access Open Minds. This is the general website we talked about if you want to just find out what it is more about. But we'll be seeing more from them, I'm sure, coming up in the future as well. So thanks again, ladies. And thanks to all of you for watching. We'll take you back into the studio for our next interview. All right, Emily and Bella, thank you so much for joining me here on the show today. I had a nice chat with them after the interview as well. And they certainly are passionate about their positions and mental health here in Sarnia-Lambton, and lots of great information. Check out their websites and their Facebook page to get more information about Mental Health Week. Thanks again, ladies. All right, well, getting an update, Dave Brown, Executive Director. I mean, if you don't know who that is by now, you have not been watching the show regularly, obviously. Dave Brown, Executive Director for United Way Sarnia-Lambton, with an update on what they're doing in the community, and their Compassion Fund has given more to some local organizations. Take a look at this, and I'll be back to wrap things up. Well, as always, Executive Director Dave Brown, great to see you, David. You look like you're just going to work from home forever now.
Yeah, that'd be something. I mean, we're first off, it's great to be here. It's always great to be on the show and to talk to you and your viewers. You know, I've been busier at home than I have been in the office. I find the days go longer because there's just more things going on. Plus, of course, we've been involved with our grants that we normally don't do, as well as the normal campaign planning for the fall.
Yeah, well, you've certainly been busy with the Compassion Fund has been able to come out and help lots of people. I think I saw the other day the Huron House Boys Home.
Yes. And
North Lambton Community. I think. Go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, the North Lambton Community Health Center.
Right. Yeah.
Even more recently than that, David, we did two more. One is the River City Vineyard.
Nice.
For supplies there. And the YMCA resource houses. As you know, they run 3 resource houses in the core areas of the city. They have before school help, after school help, that kind of thing. But because school's not in, those centers are closed, but the kids are still in need of nutrition and food, snacks and whatnot. So the YMCA resource houses put together an application for our Compassion Fund so that they can work with the families in the neighborhoods to make sure the kids are at least getting one good meal a day. And, you know, we've never funded the River City Vineyard before, so we're delighted to be able to help them. Nor have we helped, you mentioned, Huron House Boys Home, first time we funded them. And the North Lambton Community Health Center, of course, we funded them through the Opening Doors program, both in the city of Sarnia and up in Forest and Lambton Shores. And so they've got some special needs, keeping up with some of the mental health needs and basic services up there too. So, you know, thank goodness the community has really stepped up through the United Way, both individuals and corporately, to fund the program. So right now we've done 17 grant approvals, all for $5,000, except the CNIB was $4,000. So that adds up to $84,000, all within the last 3 or 4 weeks. So we're just thrilled that we're able to do that.
Well, you're thrilled, but I'm sure those organizations are thrilled. They're looking for all the help they can get right now. Right. I think it's great, aside from the fact that United Way is able to provide this because of support. You know, again, our community comes together well, but it seems like it's able to happen very quickly. You're expediting these the money. Look at your popular guy.
You know, it's probably an Amazon delivery.
There you go.
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, absolutely. Amazon's still relevant for sure.
Sure. So that's probably what that is. So I'm sure somebody will let them in my building and he'll knock on my door and just leave the parcel there.
There you go. But no, I was saying expediting this to the organizations is seems to be that way anyway.
Absolutely. In fact, one of the things that we've committed to the donors and to the community, that we would have a very quick turnaround time for those agencies applying for this emergency COVID-19 funding. We'll get an answer to them very quickly, and we would also get them the check or the electronic funds transfer as absolutely as soon as possible, because we know so many of them, number one, need to know that they're getting the money, and they need to get the money as quickly as they can.
Yeah. Are you seeing, I guess, organizations and perhaps people in the community that maybe you haven't seen before contributing that are now stepping forward and saying, yeah, we need to help the United Way out as well?
Absolutely. In fact, that's one of the things that I mentioned to our board at our board meeting last Monday, was about half of the donors who contributed to the Compassion Fund. And I'm talking about both individuals as well as corporations. About half have never donated before to the United Way. So, we think it's great that they're for the first time showing faith in our process, that we're transparent and that we're fair. And the whole approval process is very fair and very widespread. I mean, obviously, agencies do not have to be funded by United Way to apply for that. In fact, about half of them are not funded by us.
Right.
We think it's great that people are, for the first time, trusting United Way to find where their donations are most needed right here in our community. And as you know, that's something I've been hammering away for a number of years here on the show, that it's local funding for local programs and services and local decision-making. And so we email our board of directors sometimes into the evening with new recommendations, and they say yes. And sometimes within hours, we're able to get back to an organization and say, hey, we got great news. We've got $5,000 for you and your program.
Yeah, it's putting a lot of smiles on people's faces, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think the last time we talked, we were still kind of early stages of this COVID-19, and you were just learning more from the government has stepped in and offered some support to the United Way, but it didn't have all the details. Have you got more you can share about that now?
Well, we do, and a lot has happened, I guess, really, since you and I last spoke. I think you're referring to the New Horizons Seniors funding by the federal government that the Prime Minister announced $9 million for United Ways all across Canada. Mm-hmm. And, so our portion of that was $50,530. So it's a good chunk. That's earmarked for agency programs and services that help seniors aged 55 and older, both rural and urban, with their basic needs. Essentially, food, mental health, and that includes fighting isolation. So we're in the process right now. We've got, I think, 8 or 9 applications from community agencies for that funding. So we're in the review process right now. The deadline was Sunday night. We had widespread publication. I know Age-Friendly Sarnia was kind enough to distribute that to all of the age-friendly agencies that they work with, which adds up to over 140. Plus yourself and other media reach out. So we feel really good that it was well promoted, and we hope to make those decisions later this week, or perhaps it'll be later this week. I'm quite sure if already. And then more recently, the Prime Minister announced $350 million to be shared across Canada for the United Way of Canada, for all of United Ways, community foundations across Canada, and the Canadian Red Cross. Now, fortunately, in our community, we've got a great relationship with both the Sarnia Community Foundation and the Red Cross, of course. So we really look forward to working with them in the coming weeks and months to figure out how we're going to best disperse that funding. Now, we don't know how much we're going to get, but it could be some significant dollars. And as I said, we've worked in the past with the Red Cross, both as a funder and as a co-funder. And the Sarnia Community Foundation does great work too. So I think all three of us have got skills and strengths that we can bring to the table, again, to benefit the local community. Yeah.
Coming out of all of this, I last week I talked with some folks, talked with Paula Rem-Zimmer from the Blue Water Health Foundation and Canadian Mental Health Association. And I asked her this question, and I'll kind of put it towards you as well. Coming out of all of this, are we prepared? Like, they're dealing with some mental health stuff that it's been really quiet right now. Right. And that's sort of concerning. With all the services that United Way supports, do you see some overwhelmingness? Is that a word? Is coming out of all of this? And is the United Way going to have to really rise their game up even more to help support?
Well, we know we're going to have to rise our game as much as we can. We're going to have to rely on every donor in the past, every volunteer to step up to help us with this year's campaign, not only because of the economic hits that the individuals and companies are getting because of the pandemic, but also because of low oil prices. I mean, that has a huge effect on our United Way and the United Ways in Alberta. So we're very concerned about the campaign for both those fronts. So we're going to have to, as we did last year, but even more so, turn turn over every rock and look in every
Yeah.
we can for funding and to keep those programs and services going. So we've got the immediate campaign concerns that we have, and then beyond that, it falls in the we don't know what we don't know just yet.
No crystal ball.
No crystal ball. So we don't know what kind of lingering effects there may be in terms of mental health, in terms of youth needing support. I mean, right now, we're seeing a lot of money going into mental health programming, and we need it. We should. I'm not against that at all. But at the wayside seems to be some youth services because they're not at school. They don't have access to things like in-school mentoring with Big Brothers. They don't have Boys and Girls Club after-school programs.
Yeah.
They don't have some of those kinds of things. So I personally worry about the fallout for those young people who need just a little bit of a helping hand to show some mentorship and that there's a better way in the community. So we're not sure where that's going to fall. We know that there's going to be some profound changes, not only in society and how we do things as a society in terms of more Zoom meetings and less travel and that kind of thing. But we really don't know the fallout for community services. We do know that mental health would be a part of it. But maybe people be in such a great mood then that now they can get out and socialize and not be as isolated. So, I'm hopeful. I'm always an optimist. And I'm hoping that's the case. But I'm most concerned about the youth programs going forward personally.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see more of a return from the community as far as seeing more volunteers show up? Where a lot of organizations are always saying, we need more volunteers. We can always have a hard time finding more volunteers. Do you think we'll see that? And do you think we'll see more of that coming from our youth doing more volunteering as well?
I'm hoping so. I think there's a lot of people who realize how fortunate they are, even during this pandemic. Many of them are still having jobs that are able to work from home. Some of them are getting some government subsidies to help continue to pay their rent. And then they're looking at the poor families who lost somebody, or some of these other countries that have been even more devastated. And some of the folks I've talked to, feel good that things could be a lot worse, and they're grateful to have what they have. And, I've heard stories where people are rude here and there and whatnot, but I have to tell you, I have not experienced that. Every night I've gone for a walk, or anywhere I've gone to any of the grocery stores for my parents or for my neighbors or even for myself, I've experienced smiles. People are not furry. I have not experienced any negative rudeness at all. People just seem to be glad to get out and glad the weather's getting better. And just glad to see other people. And I'm hoping that will continue.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've only had one little experience, but I think it was just, everybody has a bad day. I don't think it was necessarily, and it wasn't really over the top rude. It was just like, oh, excuse me, I didn't see you there kind of thing. So, the stress is out there for sure. And, the financial stress that has been on the organization is organizations in the community. It's nice to be able to see them getting some financial relief. I think more concerning, though, coming out of all of this is, will they be able to survive? We're going to see a lot of businesses that are going to make the decision to close because they just couldn't hold on, even with support. Is that something, obviously it's not what you want to see, but that's probably still concerning even after giving them some financial relief?
You're absolutely right, David. I know a lot of new businesses in town that, invested a lot of their own money or got bank loans. And I don't know how some of them are going to survive after this. And that's their savings. And that's everything. So, I'm also concerned of individuals who may have been donors for a long time, not only to the United Way, but to other programs and services, and now are on the other end. Now suddenly they don't have a job to go back to because of a company's gone bankrupt, or maybe their investments have gone down so much that they have to go back to work but can't find work. So I suspect there's going to be a lot of people who are in need who used to give need. And so that's, something that I haven't heard too many people talk about, but could be a reality here locally.
Yeah. Do you think the government, although they've already stepped up now coming out of this, we're going to see repercussions, like say job loss and, even charitable organizations, really kind of what we're talking about here, that may have to consider going, wow, we got to close our doors and we don't want to do that. Like, do you think the government will continue to step forward coming out of it and going, okay, we supported it while it was happening. Now the repercussions of it still need support?
Yeah, I mean, first off, United Ways across Canada are very grateful that the federal government has had confidence in us and has given us first that $9 million and now a share of the $350 million to help with immediate needs and increasing needs and budget shortfalls, etc. They've loosened a little bit the wage subsidies and that kind of thing for charities. So we're grateful for that. But that's the immediate need. And to your point, what's going to happen after this? And I know United Way Canada and other national organizations are talking to the federal government about some kind of what they're calling an industry stabilization program or fund. And that's exactly what you're thinking is how can we stabilize these much needed services after this is all over, once we get back to the new normal or whatever that looks like. Because we know a lot of agencies are paycheck to paycheck already. Yeah. And I know a lot of United Ways are too. And, I look at ourselves and I look at other United Ways that are maybe dependent on one sector in particular, and on the employees from that sector. And we really don't know what's going to happen. But I do know that that we are talking to the federal government about some kind of a stabilization fund. We don't know how it'll look, but the federal government is listening, and they're considering what we have to say. And so, all we can do is hope. I realize too that the government isn't a limitless pot as well. We know that there's only so much money available, and there's only one taxpayer.
Yeah, the province doesn't print money.
No,
Fortunately, they don't have that in Canada. Yeah, so that's a whole other show. But it sounds like it's positive anyway, and that when you say they're listening, that's a good place to be. So. Thanks so much for joining me again. And it's nice. It's always good to see you. And nice to know that you're safe and comfortable in your little home office there. And we're going to let you go so you get maybe your Amazon deliveries ready for you there.
I hope so. I hope he didn't leave.
You hope it's what?
I hope he didn't leave.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, we better let you go. Dave Brown, always a pleasure, my friend. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Stay safe.
The pleasure is always mine, David. Thank you. You stay safe as well.
Dave Brown, is always great to have you here joining me, and great job, Dave Brown and his team at United Way Sarnia-Lambton. And again, if you want to find out more about them, go to their website, their Facebook. He's on Twitter as well. We're going to post all the links on our Facebook page after the show here today, so be sure to reach out to them and check out their website. And you might be surprised at all of the organizations that United Way Sarnia-Lambton supports, and the money stays right here. I know Dave Brown always likes to point that out, and it's a great way to see dollars happening in our community. Thanks again, Dave. Stay safe. Look forward to next time for sure. All right. Well, thank you to both of my guests here today. Obviously, I spoke to them earlier this week. COVID-19 makes us have to adapt schedules, right? And I hope you're adapting okay. We're coming through this, right? I know we keep hearing it. Our government keeps saying it, but hang in there. Together we will come through this. Follow the guidelines. We're going to be okay. New normal, probably. But at the end of the day, I think we're going to be all right, and we're going to come out of it probably sooner than we thought. But we'll see how that goes. I'll be broadcasting the Premier of Ontario here daily here on the Show with David Burrows Facebook page, and also on the Video Show Network, our sister company as well. So keep an eye out for that. And remember, get all the accurate information and take care of each other. Reach out to friends, FaceTime, whatever you got to do to stay engaged with each other. And we will talk to you all very soon in person. I can't wait for that day to come. That's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. And I will see you next time right here in the show. Bye for now.